My name's Adam Evans. I'm from Santa Cruz, California, and I'm one of Ridotto's ambassadors.
I was just curious, how did you find out about Ridotto the first time?
At the time, I was doing a ton of research with regards to Cardano and some of the incubation projects on Cardano, and I saw Ridotto was in the queue for the launchpad on CardStarter, and I'd been with CardStarter for a couple of months at the time. When I saw the white paper for Ridotto, I just knew it was something I had to be a part of. I was actually flying to Puerto Rico at the time, and
Okay.
I was emailing back and forth to Feiruz about trying to get involved with the private sale and see how much I could absorb in my 1 hour layover in Texas. So yeah, that's how I found it. And since then, I've just been kind of drinking from a fire hose with regards to absorbing as much information about it as I can.
Where do you think Ridotto is going to be in the next, I don't know, 5 to 10 years? How do you see it make it to the top?
Wow,
What do you,
yeah,
what?
that's another good question.
Yeah,
The 1 year, 5 year, 10 year. So
something like that.
I think most people would agree it has to do all with adoption, and what's gonna grab the interest and the focus and adoption of and what types of communities, just gambling communities, gamers, NFTs, and so in 1 year, provided that we've got mobile applications out there, and you can basically interact with the protocol, deploy your own NFT casino ownerships on the go. I would see the growth is going to be pretty mind-bending, potentially. For I can kind of get into granular use cases, but so that's the 1 year. I would say that we're just going to, you could potentially just see this asymptotic growth because it solves several problems.
Yeah.
The pancake swap lottery is like one of the best, I would say, beta tests that we could look towards, and how different protocols can use this. I don't think people really understand the gambling or gaming as a service. They're looking at protocols as kind of, or Ridotto as a shell. It's like, okay, well, they're going to offer, casino and table games. It's so much more than that. The depth of this, it was when people start understanding that, that's when I really see the growth kind of taking off. So in 5 years, where will we be? I think Ridotto could definitely be a household name. Definitely initialized on mobile and smart devices. That's, in my opinion, that would be the next step after the MVPs are deployed, and of course all the security audits that entails. And then after that, I would say the sports betting. So mobile app sports betting, and that's going to reach, I think, the most users. The fantasy leagues are huge. You've got La Liga, you've got Premier League, you've got football, you've got hockey, you've got surfing now, it doesn't stop. And this is very much entrenched in many different communities and groups across the world. So,
A serious topic. In the future, what color would your Lamborghini look like?
oh man, I don't know. I'm a BMW guy. Um,
Okay.
with the Lambo, I don't know. The Ferrari would be red, of course. No, I
But
used to
yeah,
race. Like I used to race cars, so I'd probably get into
you used to
a
race
race
car?
car.
You
Yeah.
used to race cars, like in circuit or underground street racing.
No, I had a circuit. Like I used to.
Nice.
I started off in go karts, and then I got into open wheel racing. Like there's small Formula Mazdas, like open wheel
Oh,
ride and
nice,
drive series, things
nice.
like that. Yeah.
Are you still doing it?
No, that was a lifetime ago, but
No, okay.
that's my dream to get back into. I would say for
Yeah, yeah.
newcomers, take the time to absorb the white paper and understand the many use cases that Ridotto has. Um, if it's just to blow off steam and play games, great. If it's to invest and make passive income, great. If it's to, build value with your existing platform, whether you're a influencer, key opinion leader, One of the ideas I have is for charity. Then get involved with the NFT farming and casino license ownership and deploy it on your website. You can do more, and for your own community, you can find ways to give back. There's so much to go through. I mean, we could sit here and chat probably for an hour on
Yeah.
any one of these single things. In
That's
college,
so good.
for a couple of months, I paid rent playing poker games.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I used to be
Really?
a bartender, and there was a couple of games, 2 days a week, and we'd start playing at about 2 a.m. and I paid rent for 3 months doing that because I was.
Okay. When you hold Ridotto, of course, but you're more into like targeting to have your own game. I mean, farm the NFTs and have your own game, or more into like promoting with someone else, give it to a charity or something like that, so you can bankroll through their community.
My mom passed away to cancer a couple of years ago, and I used some of the money that I inherited to invest. And one of the things I thought of when I received the money was to donate it to something like St. Jude's Children's Hospital. And I thought, wow, what if we could invest and pool money into a fund that would pay an annuity to the charity, right? And this was years ago. This was like 2-3 years ago or something like that.
Okay.
And so, I hadn't quite figured out how I was going to approach this. And then once I found, Ridotto started doing these NFT farming, the casino ownerships. I was like, oh my gosh, that's it. That's how we do this. And so I kind of reached out already to a couple of people like James at Invest Answers and some of the crypto space. They're kind of like edutainment leaders, and I know some of them donate all of the proceeds that they make from their YouTube channels and their social channels to things like Saving Animals or other charities. So I was like, let's 10x those numbers. You know what I mean? It's something great for their community. So that's how I intended to deploy mine. It wasn't for personal gains. I was just going to give something back. And that's, yeah. So I'm still putting the feelers out there. So if you're seeing this and you've got a big channel and a big heart, reach out to me. Let's do this. No strings attached. I think one thing that we haven't talked about or mentioned is Ridotto's leading solution to, the regulatory compliance issue or question, which has been ostensibly solved or was solved months and months ago. If when you open your browser, even, most of the banners I think on CoinGecko are for these centralized casinos and stuff, and they're not really offering much to the user.
Right. I've seen those.
When you compare it against Ridotto, it's like, there's no I don't know how far back second place is, but in my opinion, that's pretty far back on the totem pole. So anyways, yeah, the regulatory compliance thing is very smart. The DAOs are, I think they've got some ground to cover with regards to how the DAOs operate and how people interact with the DAO. I think there's some, what not to do's out there, but there's a good team behind Ridotto. That's the other thing we didn't talk about is the lack of, or I should say, the parity of investors versus VC. This is something that again feeds into the DAO, and I know that some retail and potentially institutional investors are going to shy away when you see a large portion of token allocations go to VC. And if they're spread across a community already, then you've already got a pretty well equalized allocation of tokens, and then the framework for a DAO that is set up to succeed. So the governance side of Ridotto has been building on the back end. Again, it's not something that people talk about too much. But if you ask the question, where do we go from here? Well, let's ask the investors, let's ask the audience, what chain do you want to deploy on? Where do you want to see, what games do you want to see deployed? How do we want to handle this? And,
speaking of which chain are you expecting? Which one?
Next?
Yeah.
I'm not expecting one. I jumped into cryptocurrency because of Cardano and what they were trying to do in Africa. I just thought that, building digital identity, not to get too far off topic, but building digital
no problem.
for third world countries, and how this is important with regards to education, how it's important with regards to voting, how it's important for municipal infrastructure and these kinds of things. I still am really hyped on the Cardano project and IOHK. So I would like to see it go there, but I also understand that with Vassal and moving into, I think, the Basho era, there are a lot of things on the chain that still need to be developed. Suffice to say, I know that Ridotto is still planning on, migrating, and so it will live atop Cardano, but I don't necessarily need to see it move there first.
And I can say for sure, I've been in contact with some other projects which are using other gambling protocols.
Yeah.
And one of them actually said that in the future, the ones that they made the gambling protocol will want to have our to build on top of us. So,
oh wow.
Yeah,
that's cool.
There was another, practically there are competitors if you think about it, but when they say the competitors, okay, we're gonna use your technology because it's better. So I can hardly wait until the first lottery will go live and then see it amongst all the partners, and stuff will start rolling. It's just there.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
There's you asked me, where do I want to see it 1 year, 2 years, or what would be the next exciting thing? So I mentioned two things, right? The mobile app, and then like kind of the sports betting, the sports book, or the casino games, but the sports betting. The third thing, and I don't know if it has to happen in this order, would be to have the slot machine deployed on like the Pancake Swap or Radium or whatever, and allow those DeFi protocols and their communities to bankroll their own, so they don't have to go out and build it. And it's odd because I think we'd have to solve the problem of building the trust with another community. Anytime you've got this merge of one protocol with another, you kind of ask the question like, well, what are they getting at? What are we getting out of this? Are they just trying to sell their tokens and shill their protocol on our platform, or are they? And I would argue the answer here is no. We're solving a problem for you. We're not understanding that if you were to deploy one of these MVPs, this is for you and your community. You guys reap the profits. We just built the framework. It's there for you to use. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't have to buy. You don't have to buy. The community doesn't have to buy a single Ridotto token. Yes, the developers do if they want to farm their own, or talk to me. I'll give you one of my NFTs. But they can deploy it and they can use it for their own benefit, and their own community can bankroll. I think the more that we can talk about this narrative, people will start to understand. I think there's always going to be a time and a place for traditional casinos. I think that they're going to want a piece. It's funny. A friend of mine called me yesterday out of the blue, and he was giving me his 30-second elevator pitch on cryptocurrency because he doesn't have a job now. He's a full-time trader. I haven't seen him in 10 years. One of my best friends, we used to live in Santa Barbara together when we were in college. Mm-hmm. And after about 20 minutes, I told him, I'm like, I've been invested in cryptocurrency for the last 2 years. He's like, what? And I was like, yeah. And so I told him a story of how I've had this email in my Gmail account about Bitcoin when it was under $1.
Oh, okay.
And I remember because that's about the time when I was investing in traditional finance and TradeFi, and that's another story altogether. But I thought, there's no way Bitcoin's going to do this. You could just copy and paste it. I don't understand how digital currency works. So anyways, how does that apply to Ridoto, right? Well, I would ask somebody, do you like gambling? Do you win or do you lose? And like, I kind of play around and stuff. You lose. And I was like, well, what if you could become the house?
Yeah.
What if you like gambling, you clearly like playing. What if you could play, but what if you could become the house as well? Like, what do you mean? Like, well, what if you had a casino game? Okay. And now the conversation goes a little bit easier because like, well, this is how it works. Well, how do you get paid? What if they bust the house because they make such a big jackpot? I'm like, well, that's controlled by the protocol. It's an algorithm, and the money, and that's where the original white paper was really powerful to me because it kind of explained the known outcomes of each game, the croupier games, and based on X amount of game plays, the house, that's why the house always wins. That's why these games work. you know. So the more people that use it, you hit that expected return ratio over time. It's just math. I mean, it's math. So,
Yeah,
and they're like, oh gosh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And then so that's my hook. I don't know.